Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you for showing up at the talk. Really happy to have everybody here. Just do a short intro. Nina here from the Arbitrum Asia team. I mainly lead the growth in Arbitrum for the APAC region. It's such a pleasure to be here to talk about a little bit about how we grew to the ecosystem to where we are today. So, has everybody here heard of Arbitrum before? Thank you, thank you. I'm glad that we have made our name out there. So what is Arbitrum? Why are we doing what we're doing? We started this project back in 2015. Back then was a university project, completely academic, for Bitcoin scaling. So back then, Ethereum wasn't a thing yet. There's no such thing called Ethereum. But then we're already considering about, okay, when Bitcoin gets big, how are we going to scale it? So originally, this was a Bitcoin scaling project. So after a few years of development, Ethereum came along, and there's something called smart contract, and the congestion in Ethereum became big. Vitalik wrote an article called a roll-up-centric Ethereum roadmap. And that's when we pivoted the project, first from academic to commercial, but also from Bitcoin to Ethereum. And then it became what we know as Arbitrum today. We are a leading Ethereum layer 2 protocols. We use a technology called optimistic rollup, and we provide ultra-fast transaction. It's usually 10 to 50 times cheaper transaction with a security driven directly from Ethereum layer 1. So here's a bit of roadmap or milestone we had in the past years. We originally had our mainnet launch in August 2021, and last year in August 2022, we had our Nitro upgrade. So that was the roadmap of how we evolved. We also have a different product called Arbitrum Nova mainnet. So currently, Arbitrum is known as, everybody knows it as Arbitrum, but little people know that we actually have two different chains for different use case, which I will dive into a bit later. So how big is Arbitrum right now? Anybody here have interacted with protocols on Arbitrum? Raise your hand if you have used Arbitrum before. Okay, what did you use? What protocol did you use on Arbitrum? GMX? Wow, that's a big one. Yeah, we actually have some friends from GMX here today, so they will be happy to hear that. So Arbitrum is actually right now the second largest DeFi ecosystem, just after Ethereum layer 1. In the past few months, we flipped Polygon, we flipped BNB. We have 3.6 billion USD locked in our ecosystem. We are currently 50% of our market share. We have over 1,000 dApps across from DeFi to SocialFi to gaming to infra. They're all deployed on Arbitrum. And we already have 3.3 million unique wallet addresses in this ecosystem. So amazing growth over the past year and a half. But everything happened organically. We never paid any developers to build on our ecosystem. Everybody was believing in us and voluntarily building their projects on Arbitrum. And all the users are voluntarily putting their money in this ecosystem. So you must be wondering, why, right? How do I get such growth in my ecosystem? Why would people like Arbitrum so much? So here's a bit of why we think we came to where we are today. So first, we're very security focused. We are a roll-up-centric chain, completely aligned with the roll-up-centric Ethereum roadmap written by Vitalik. And this roll-up is an essential step of Ethereum development, and it's widely recognized by the Ethereum community. So we completely believe in this vision, and that's why we design our protocol in a way that's completely in compliance of the roll-up vision of the Ethereum community. So just a little comparison between what's different between Arbitrum 1 and sidechains. We have a full data availabilities. All the call data are posted on Ethereum layer 1. So that also means the Ethereum layer 1 validators are actually in charge of the security of our protocols. We utilize something called fraud proof. So when the malicious behavior takes place, security is guaranteed by Ethereum layer 1. And what that means is, compared to a sidechain is still vulnerable when it comes to when 2/3 of their independent validators are corrupted. But for us, we can withstand 99% of attacks on validators. So that was the difference on the security level. And because we're so focused on security, DeFi protocols are willing to put their money to bring their users to this ecosystem. Because at the end of the day, the worst thing a chain could happen was it got hacked. So every protocol, all the developers want to protect the user, and thus they want to choose a chain that's security focused. And we're also very ETH focused. We're very lucky that we're able to work with major staking protocols such as Lido to bring staked wrapped ETH into Arbitrum ecosystem. We really believe in the future of Ethereum. So we actually have 870K ETH in Arbitrum right now. And that's more than the ETH, accumulated ETH, than 10 other chains combined. That includes Polygon, that includes Optimism, that includes Avalanche. So that just shows how much the Ethereum communities have faith in our ecosystem, that they're willing to put their hard-earned money, hard-earned ETH, long-term assets into our ecosystem. And we also have a multi-chain future. As I mentioned, Arbitrum currently have 2 different products. The first one is called Arbitrum One. This is a very DeFi-centric project. This is a traditional rollup, and when I say traditional rollup, it means all the call data got posted to Ethereum layer 1. It's very secure. It's usually 10 to 50 times cheaper than layer 1. And the main use case would be DeFi and NFT. However, it also has a drawback, right? Not all solutions is perfect for all scenarios. DeFi is very security-centric because a lot of money is involved. But in other use cases, such as gaming and SocialFi, there might not be so much asset, but people need very cheap transactions and very frequent transactions as well. So that's why we develop a new chain called Arbitrum Nova. Arbitrum Nova is usually 30 times to 150 times cheaper than Ethereum layer 1. And because it's so cheap, it's ideal for use cases such as gaming or SocialFi or metaverse. And we actually co-launched it with Reddit. If you have ever used Reddit, you know there's something called Karma in this ecosystem. And Reddit is actually issuing their Karma points as a token on Arbitrum Nova. So this is an ecosystem that has a very different gene compared to Arbitrum One. So if you are developing something that's social related, that you want a lot of people to involve on chain, Arbitrum Nova would be the choice. So we have 2 very different products for different use cases because we understand that not one single technical solution will not be perfect for all use cases. So we have different technical solutions for different use cases in our roadmap. Another thing I want to talk about is user experience. So when we first launched Arbitrum, there's a lot of controversies around if Arbitrum is going to be big or if optimistic rollup is going to be big. And one of the major arguments is that optimistic rollup has something called 7-day withdrawal period, which means if you want to take your money from Arbitrum back to Ethereum layer 1, it takes 7 days. But right now, if you use Arbitrum, you realize you never have to encounter that because we think on behalf of our users. We think on behalf of the user experience that we bring in a lot of partners that can help users to smoothly translate in and out of Arbitrum. So on the centralized exchange side, you can use Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, or any of the centralized exchanges listed here to easily put your money into Arbitrum or withdraw it from Arbitrum. If you don't like centralized exchange for obvious reasons, you can also use decentralized bridge protocols. We have Hop, Connect, Stellar. They're all very easy to use. You get your money within 1 split second. So that's also another choice. We also have a lot of fiat on-ramp partners. So if you're in Dubai, if you're in India, you can always use your own currency and easily buy it into USDT or ETH on Arbitrum. So we provide a lot of ways. We lower the barrier for users to enter our ecosystem, and that's why people are so easily putting their money into our ecosystem and play with all the projects we have, with GMX, with DOPAX, with TreasureDAO. And that's what we want to see when everybody has a chance to experience what we can bring with our technology. And last thing is also the most exciting thing I want to talk about today. It's EVM compatibility is a start, not the end. So with a lot of talks on rollup, I think right now everybody wants to be EVM compatible because from a developer point of view, obviously being EVM compatible is easy, right? You can use your favorite tools. You can easily migrate your projects from Ethereum layer 1 to roll up, and that has a lot of benefit. But now it seems like it's only the start, not the end. So what that means is that we are releasing something called Stylus, and we're bringing a new concept called EVM+. So in the future, with Stylus, we're actually going to support Rust, C, and C++ as tools to build on Arbitrum. And major advantage is that with all these new languages, developers can take advantage of the benefit of this language. For example, a program written in Rust is actually an order of magnitude more efficient than the program written in Solidity. And this language has existed in Web 2 for so many years. There's way more developers knows how to write in C and C++ than Solidity. So our founder has a very good saying that if you want to bring in next billion users, we have to bring in next million developers. And this is a major step that we take to bring in more Web 2 users to use the tools they are familiar with to build more efficient and faster and cheaper decentralized apps in Arbitrum. And it also allows developers to do something called customized precompilers. Precompilers are special smart contract that can efficiently do some very specific tasks, such as computing hashes. So this is particularly interesting for Ethereum researchers because they will have the chance to iterate on, for example, a EIP precompilers without setting up their own testnet. So we are very excited to be part of this Ethereum revolution with all the Ethereum researchers, providing with them best tool and environment to do their research. So at the end of the day, Arbitrum, we are here to serve all the developers. We always put developer experience as part of our priority. And thus, in the next upgrade, we're going to have something called Stylus that will provide even more broad language support in the ecosystem. And this is a bit more about Arbitrum, docs, what happens in the ecosystem. And I'm happy to take any questions at the end of the presentation. Yeah, please. So I think what I heard was my opinion about ZK and optimistic rollup. So this is obviously a major discussion in crypto Twitter right now. I want to say that Arbitrum, we're never taking sides in terms of the technology, right? We have never said that optimistic rollup will be forever better than ZK rollup. We're not fighting against each other. What we said is that today, ZK rollup is not ready for the market. As you can see, there's no market-ready ZK rollup that can be used by developer today to launch a project or to sustain a mass over 1,000 decentralized apps to build on it right now. That being said, our chief scientist at Felton has never stopped researching on ZK rollup. So if when the technology ZK rollup is ready one day and will be happily adopting it in different ways. It could be part of our existing chain, could be a new chain we're rolling out. So there's a lot of things we can play with both rollups together. So we're never really shutting the door to the ZK rollup. Thank you. Please. So we actually, so just to repeat the question for everyone, the first question is, do we have a timeline for decentralizing the sequencer? The second question is my understanding is there any plans to offer not first come, first serve, but for different strategy for sequencer? So I don't have a specific timeline off the top of my head, nothing I can share right now, but this is obviously a priority of our team. There are partners that we are talking closely with to run our validators, and then I think in the first we will be whitelist, and then it will probably open up to the public. And to answer your second question, we actually published a new article about a month ago stating that we have a new update on the sequencer. It's not going to be first come, first serve completely, but it's going to be within 0.25 seconds, you will be able to bid on who comes first. So this will encourage projects to not spend resource on hardware resources to get into the queue first. Instead, if they really want to, they can have a controlled way to bid in front of 2 or 3 other transactions, but just within that very, very small window. You can't really front-run somebody that's completely ahead of you, but just within the 2-3 transactions, you can actually become the first. Yeah. Thank you. That was a great question. Alrighty, thank you everybody for taking the time to learn more about Arbitrum. Definitely check out our website, our ecosystem. A lot of things are happening in the ecosystem right now. And yeah, enjoy Arbitrum in layer 2.